Well, in 1984, she starred in 16 Candles, and then the following year, in 1985, The Breakfast Club. The year after that, she was a star of Pretty in Pink, and soon after that, she was pretty much the most famous teen star on the planet. Molly Ringwald is still doing lots of films and lots of acting today, and she's just written a novel, but she's also released a jazz album, and that's why I'm here today in the King's Road, because tonight she's performing here at the Pheasantry, and we're going to have a quick chat. Molly Ringwald, welcome to London.
Thank you.
Molly, you're here performing songs from your album that was released last year, Except Sometimes. Tell us how the idea of you doing an album came about.
Well, I come from a family of jazz. My father, Bob Ringwald's a traditional jazz musician, and so it's something that I grew up doing. And then I just got sort of, I don't know, focused on the movies and other things, but it was always in the back of my mind that I wanted to put a jazz band together. Didn't necessarily even know that I was going to record. It was just something that I kind of did for fun. And it was just sort of one thing led to another, and before we knew it, we had this album, and Concord picked it up, and then I found myself on tour.
And how did you come about to pick the songs? I understand that, well, there's 10 songs on the album, but it must have been fairly tricky saying yes and no to what was on offer.
Well, I tried to pick songs that were from the Great American Songbook, but maybe were not heard quite as much as other songs. You know, just pick ones that were a little bit more obscure. So that was really my interest there. And I think how we really chose the songs were how they sounded with the band. You know, I play with a trio here, but on the album there's more. There's a quartet, and then in a couple songs there's a trumpet and a guitar. And I really just tried to pick songs where it all just kind of came together. The arrangement worked, and you know, everything just sort of fit together.
One of the most familiar songs would be probably the most modern one on there, which is the Simple Minds cover, Don't You Forget About Me. Did you have to ask Jim Kerr for permission to play that live? How does it work? Or on the album?
No, you don't have to ask permission. I think there maybe, you know, I don't know. That's a technical thing that I didn't really think about or focus on.
Well, I'm sure he wouldn't mind. I mean, doesn't mind.
But he didn't even write it anyway. It's written by someone else. He performed that song, but he's not the actual composer of that song.
It's a cover version, is it? That shows how much research I've done on Simple Minds. I didn't realise that was a cover version.
Yeah, well, it was written for the movie that I was in called The Breakfast Club, and Simple Minds was the band that was chosen to do it. But, yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting little sort of pub quiz one, which certainly caught me out. You were performing here last night on this very stage. How have you found the English audiences and the reception here?
It's been great. I mean, maybe because it's such a small and intimate room. You know, I've been always told that English audiences are very reserved and they don't really communicate or they don't talk, but I didn't have that experience. I felt like they were very connected and they were just they gave a lot of, you know, energy back, and it was a really great show.
And where are you performing next? Have you got any other dates in England lined up, or?
No, this is it for the UK right now, and then I'm going to Switzerland, and then home. And
then back to California. Yeah. Where you're going to be taking a break from performing live for a while.
Well, you know, I have 3 children at home, so everything sort of has to be, you know, situated around them.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can't go out. I'm not one of these people that can just go and stay on the road forever. So it's usually, you know, this is actually a long tour for me, which is about 12 days. But usually I try to go out for, you know, 4 or 5 days at a time.
And with the critical success of the album and you enjoying playing it, there must be thoughts of another album around the corner at some point.
Yeah, I think we're thinking about what we're going to do for the next album. But, you know, I'm also still doing movies. I just did 2 movies this year that are going to come out. And I write as well. So it's sort of a constant balance of you know, everything that I do, including being a mom and, you know, and who gets the attention when, you know, it's all like a great balancing act.
Well, it does sound like you're incredibly busy because you have written a novel. Now you're singing. You probably started singing as a child when your father was a jazz pianist.
That's right.
At home. Presumably he would be tinkling away on the ivories
Yeah, I started out singing when I was 3, so it was really something that I did that it was practically pre-verbal, and I did that all throughout my childhood, and then sort of moved into musical theater, and then moved into film. So it's really sort of come full circle a little bit.
Well, it's extraordinary, really, that you're still alive. In view of the amount of fame that you encountered so young, I mean, it's corrupted and been the end of very many people. How did you manage to keep your feet on the ground and avoid sort of going off the rails like so many people have?
I credit it to my family, and you know, I was always interested in life outside of Hollywood. You know, I've always been a big reader, and you know, I've just been very curious about life, and I don't think that I really was interested in going that direction.
Right.
And I have a great survival instinct, I guess.
Yeah, you must have. You must have indeed. I mean, acting is still that very much your first love as such, and will you always be acting, or do you ever envisage a time where you'll say, actually, I've done that, and I'll concentrate on the books and the music?
You know, I don't know. It really depends. I try to just be open to different projects. You know, there are certain ways that I feel creatively when I'm acting, you know, the same with when I'm singing or writing, and you know, as long as I can do all three and continue, I'll just sort of, you know, just stay focused on what I'm interested in at the moment. So, you know, and that seems to have worked so far.
Okay, and when you're over here in England, presumably you must have been here many times before for premieres and parties and filming and what have you.
Work mostly, yeah.
Work. How do you fill your days over here? You know, before the evening performances, are you shopping? Are you going to art exhibitions or wandering whimsically along the Thames?
Right now, I'm just walking around. It's such a great walking city, and Los Angeles, you don't really get to walk around that much. You know, people look at you like there's something wrong with you. You know.
Yeah.
But here it's just so beautiful, and you know, and it's very, you know, it's very holiday right now, and so yeah, I'm looking around and looking for things to get for my kids.
Is it a bit of a relief not to be recognised so much over in this country? Although I'm sure you are, but probably wandering around, you know, in LA where there are famous actors and actresses all over the place, you probably get recognised a bit more than the King's Road.
Well, in LA, they're very, you know, there's quite a few celebrities there, so I think people are a little bit more blasé about that sort of thing. And in New York, if you're recognized, you know, they don't say anything anyway, just because they're so, you know, such New Yorkers.
Yeah.
You know, it really depends. If I'm just walking around with no makeup and it's just me and I have a hat on, I don't really have too much of a problem. I think it's all just context, you know. If you show up at a premiere, then you get more recognized because people expect to see you there.
Yeah, fair enough. You're focusing more on cinematic films rather than TV. And is that a question of just sort of reading scripts and seeing what you like that's offered, or, you know, and your agent gets in touch and says, Molly, Spielberg's just been in touch, you know, or whatever, you know, whatever's going on. I don't know how it works.
You know, I think it just works in all different ways, you know, but usually they happen very last minute. You know, you find out you got an offer on something and then you're suddenly flying somewhere, you know, the following weekend, which is sort of a little bit aggravating, but I guess sort of exciting too. It's one of the things I've always loved about what I do, is it's very unpredictable.
Fair enough. Well, Molly, we appreciate you're a very busy woman, and you're going to be performing here tonight.
Yes, 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock tonight here at the Pheasantry in the King's Road. Thanks very much for speaking to us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.